Hey everyone, Tammy Trayer, Mountain Women Journals. We're out here in the wilderness today. I am going to show you how to use a bow and drill with my survival series number 4. And I wanted to touch base and go back a little bit on our series number 3. We were using the fire piston and the fire steel, and I showed you how to make char. And being that we were burning the last of the daylight on that last video, my apologies on that. We have been so crazy busy on our homestead that that's all the time I had to do that. So I apologize it was dark, but it worked out good that you could see the embers on the fire piston when it lit. But this is my char tin, and as you can see there is that tiny hole in the top, which is essential so that your gases can leave the tin and that your cotton balls or your cotton fabric inside can char while they're in the tin. Now this is what it looks like when you take the lid off. My char is still in there from last week, and that's what happens to your cotton balls. And I mentioned that you can use cotton fabric. These are the full-size cotton balls now charred, and this is great fire starter. This is what you want to carry in your pack so that you have some form of a dry tinder with you in the event that you're out and you've got wet material or a snowy situation. That way you're carrying dry tinder. Now I've got a little bit too much in my hands here and the flies are eating me alive. Cotton balls are great. I store my cotton balls in my tin. When I mentioned that you can use fabric, it needs to be 100% cotton fabric. It could be a sheet, it could be your son's t-shirt that he's outgrown. We collect, when our shirts get holes or whatever, we don't pitch them. Socks, they're great to make char out of, and we're constantly, replenishing our char supply so that we're never out in the wilderness without it. So I wanted to show that and make sure that you see the tin, since it was a little dark, and how the char looks, and also mention about the 100% cotton. It's really important. And oftentimes your fabric will actually start better in the pistons and such versus the actual charred cotton balls. So you can try both. There's also various other things out in the wilderness that you may hear start and are good fire starters. They can start fires, but it's a lot harder to get them to ignite than it is to get char to ignite. So keep that in mind. I wanted to show you this piston a little more since, again, it was dark. But my husband made this. This is the barrel. He welded a piece on the end here, and it's just a steel tube. Okay, and then you have your rod that goes down in. There's an O-ring at the end. It has the hole for your char, and there's a slit on the side here so that you can easily take your knife and get your ember that's ignited out of here and put it into your bird's nest. And again, you just put this down over top, put this on a solid surface and push down, and that force will create the combustion on the inside that actually lights that char. It can get as hot as 350 degrees inside this barrel. So it's pretty amazing that something so simple can light a fire. But this is definitely a great fire starter, and I just wanted to show you that in the daylight. But I'm going to move on to the bow and drill. And again, the reason that we're doing this series is because you have your modern day fire starters. They're great, they're very easy, they're handy. You've got your traditional fire starters like your fire piston and your fire steel. They're fantastic also, but if you're ever stuck out in the woods and you don't have any of that with you, you are in a tight spot. So if you don't know what I'm going to teach you today, you're going to want to know it and you're going to want to practice it, because it's not the easiest method of starting a fire, but it works, and it's definitely something that will save your life. Or that of others if you need to get warm, dry, or hydrated. So I'm going to show you this and show you what we did here. All right. You need a piece of basswood, which is your softer woods. This is, wow, it just went totally blank, cottonwood. But any soft wood will work really well. You want it to be dry. It has to be dry. The drier it is, the faster your fire is going to start. So you want to make sure that you have a dry base. You also want a dry rod that you're going to use, and I will show you all these pieces. This is pine. Harder woods work better for this, so that's why we were using pine on this You need a holding block, the block from the top, and then you need your bow. Now, I've mentioned several times in my radio show and on my blog and such, and in the videos, about the paracord bracelets. My son makes these. I will show you this real quick. This band right here has 9 foot of cord, roughly 9 foot of cord in here. In an emergency situation, I can take this apart and I can make myself a bow drill. I love you guys a lot, but I wasn't taking this apart today, so I brought a 4-foot piece of cord along with me. 4 or 5-foot piece of cord will do the trick, depending on how long you go. But these are great. These can be put on your belt, and you can carry a water, your canteen. You can put them on your pack to put your other items and attach other items to it. These babies are strong. This is 500. It will hold 550 pounds. It's 550 paracord, and that's what it means. This is made of 550 pound paracord. So this is extremely strong. You can make all kinds of things with this, hold all kinds of things with this, pull all kinds of things with this, whatever you need. It's a really universal tool out in the wilderness, and as I've mentioned before, these inner strings can be used to make fishing line, sutures probably if you had to, in a really bad situation. But like I said, love you guys, but I'm not taking my bracelet apart today. But I highly encourage you to wear one, carry one, put one on your belt buckle. If you don't like things on your wrist, get a keychain. My son makes those too. Not that I'm trying to push his products, but he's a young entrepreneur, so check out his site at mountainboyjournals.com. And but definitely make sure, as I've mentioned before in my pack, and I've just written an article for the New Pioneer magazine, and I can't specify enough the importance of carrying a knife and carrying paracord, because these 2 items right here will save you in a situation where you don't have something to start a fire. So I'm going to show you what we need to do here to get this going. Okay, we're going to work here and show you how to use the bow drill. Here's your bow. You want a green piece of wood about 2.5 to 3 feet long. If you're short and don't have long arms like I do, you won't be using this full length. You don't have to use this full length. But this is a good size to get enough force to light your fire. And again, I had a 4-foot piece of cord, so it works real handy to do this. You have your block, which you will use with your rod, and this is pine. You want harder wood for this. Again, this is green wood. It doesn't necessarily matter what you use for this, but it does need to be green, so you can get the bend in it. Now, the important part of these 2 pieces is they need to be dry, as dry as you can possibly get. This is softwood, this is cottonwood, and any softwood will suffice. And what we're going to do, I need to cut a hole in here so that this can turn. I need it so that it will stay in place when I'm trying to make my hole in here. I'm using one of my husband's knives that he made out of a leaf spring on the forge. So again, the importance of a knife, I can't specify that enough. I carry a buck knife in my pocket all the time. But you just want to get a little hole started in here. And again, we talked this week on my radio show about fitness. It's really important that you stay fit. If you're ever in a situation and you need to do something like this, I will tell you right off the bat, this could go and I could have a fire in 15 minutes. It could take me an hour. This is not the easiest form of making a fire, but you can get a fire from this, and it's something that you need to fall back on if you don't have anything else. Okay, with this piece here is going to go onto your plate. This piece here will go up here. With the friction you're creating, though, you want fire to form down here and heat to form down here. But up here you want to have it a little bit lubricated, which you can either use the chapstick, like I tell you I carry, or my lipstick, because my lips get dry, but they're great to utilize for your fire piston. Anytime you need anything that you need lubricated, that's a great source. The other thing you can do is just take this and go along your face. You got a lot of oils on your skin, and just lubricate that and put it on here. Now, how do you get it on the bow? You're going to take it like this and you're going to wrap it. It's not going to be the easiest, and it's going to spring out of your hand several times. It may do it for me. And then what you want to do, bear with me, like I said, it's not always the easiest, but it works. And once you get the hang of it, you got it. There we go. Now, okay, I want to move that a little bit. Okay, now, I'm a righty, so I'm using my right hand for this. That goes down in there. You're going to want to move some things out of your way. You want a good workspace. You want to get your foot on there, and you want to be able to use your leg and your ankle in there so that you can use it as support. You want pressure on here, but you don't want excessive pressure that you can't move this. Now, my hole might not be deep enough. You know what? I'm making it a little bit wider so I can get this in there, and so it sits a little straighter. All right, let's try this again. And again, the importance of practicing these skills, I can't specify enough. Also, whether you're using modern, traditional, or primitive skills, fire is the most important, so you want to practice your skills. All right, what we're doing now is just getting this burned in here a little bit into the plate, because I need to cut a hole in there, so I need to get this You want to get yourself a good hole in there started so that when you're working this, that that will stay in place. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a wedge in here so that when I do this to make my fire, the embers and the hot coals will fall out onto this piece of bark, and that will be what we will use to light the fire. So I'm just going to cut this wedge in here quick. Now, if you do not have a knife and you don't have a saw with you, you could use a sharp rock to do the same thing. Of course, it's going to take you a lot longer. So again, it's important to have the essential tools with you when you're out in the outdoors, but again, if you don't, you can use what's around you. Okay. All right, now let's try this again. Again, like I said, this is not one of the easier forms of fire starting, but you got to really work it and get a good base of coals. So I'm going to be here for a little while doing this. This is where staying fit plays a big role. Because you can't quit halfway through. Now my string's coming up there, and that's because of how I'm holding this. You want to try to keep it as level as possible, your stick straight. You can control the string some with your fingers at the far end here where I'm holding the bow. Definitely get a good workout, and that wasn't enough, I don't think. Nope. So we got to do this again. Okay, we're going to try this again. I was kind of hopeful, but realistically knew that that was not going to start a fire. You do need a good pile of coals. And something else I want to mention is when you cut your pie wedge into your base, you do need that to be into the center of your hole so that there's plenty of room for your coals to move out of that area and start piling up for you. So another thing I wanted to mention is if you ladies have long fingernails, you're going to want to get rid of them, or you're going to break them all the way up to your cuticle, because this, this isn't something you want to be messing around with long fingernails. And fellas, I wanted to mention to you too, if you have children, spouse, if you know this knowledge or you're learning this knowledge today, make sure you share it with them. It's great to be the good husband who takes care of your family, but if you ever get separated, your family needs to know these skills too. So make sure you teach them how to do it, and teach them well, so that it's something they practice and learn how to do consistently. So we're going to try this again, and this in itself is a good workout. So practice this and you'll be in good shape. The whole length of your bow, you want to use a good length of your bow so that you're getting good strides going across. And my fingers light. Now this part you want to be really careful. You finally got fire, you don't want to screw it up. Want to let the air get around it a little bit. You can see that's smoking. Let the oxygen around it just take it off a little bit there and ignite it a little bit. There's your fire. Now, I've talked to you in both the last two videos. You can see the embers burning there. At this point, if you didn't have your bird's nest ready, you'd have this great smoldering amber, or flaming, getting ready to flame amber here. And if you don't have your bird's nest ready, you've just done all that work for nothing. Because so you gather things depending on your weather and the environment. You just lost your opportunity for fire. So as always, you gather your bird's nest, you gather your tinder, you have some dry wood waiting for when this starts. But as you can tell, this is a good workout. I mean, it's not an easy fire, and as you saw, it didn't go smoothly, but you can't give up either. So that's the importance, you may have a child or a spouse with broken legs. It could be cold. You need to get everybody warm, so it could be people depending on you. So it is important to stay fit. It's important to practice this. And like I said, practicing this alone will help build your endurance and your strength. This is a good workout. And again, it's not an easy form of fire starting, but it is a reliable method and something you can fall back on. So here's one of your primitive skills. And I highly encourage you to get out in the woods in your backyard and practice this. You don't want to be out in a situation and have to try this for the first time. And same with the gear I've been talking about. It's senseless to have a pack full of all kinds of really good, well-advertised items in your pack, but if you don't know how to use them, what's the point? So there you go. There is the bow drill. Put our ember down. I'm not starting a full-blown fire because we are really dry out here, and it's not a good idea. But there you go. There's your bow drill. Thank you for your patience with me while I lit the fire. But there's your base, your rod, your bow, and your block. That's what you need to start your fire. And again, make sure you carry your knife. Make sure you have paracord on you, or cordage of some sort. But paracord is your best bet because it will be useful in ever so many situations. So thank you for joining me again today. Be sure to go to my website at mountainwomanjournals.com. There's a blog post to go along with this video. And every week on Wednesdays, I have a radio show on the Survival Mom Radio Network, which you can find a link to on my website as well, where I discuss homesteading, homeschooling, autism, gluten-free and casein-free diet, primitive and traditional living, as well as my survival series. So thank you so much for joining me. You folks have a great day, and God bless.